And today I want to talk with you about giving you the opportunity to ask me anything about eliminating symptoms of anxiety, depression, and traumatic stress. Ask me anything. And so that's what we're doing here. And I want to preface all of this by saying my specialty is working with adults. I have done this work with teenagers that are more on the adult spectrum of things. And so I'm happy to field questions about teenagers, and really my work here is with adults. So, and I'm just going to run my mouth a little bit here, talk about whatever I want to talk about until I get some questions. So I do want to invite you, go ahead and post your questions in the comment section. I will get them, and I'll answer your questions. So, but a lot of times I will get questions about. And if you've been watching me or doing these, you know this answer already. But I do get questions about kids and teens, and as much as I have not necessarily advice there. I can tell you how the brain works, and when you figure out how your brain works, it's easy to help kids through this stuff. And so that's really what I always share. If you have a child who is struggling with these things, typically parents have matching disorders. And so what you want to do there is work on yourself. Because if you can untangle your brain, then you can help somebody else untangle theirs. Because that's kind of what happens with anxiety, depression, traumatic stress. It's like it all gets tangled up in there, and you try to use your brain, and it's like, you just it can be really a big mess. And but brains sort themselves out with the right kind of help, and so you can really eliminate so many symptoms just by learning how to do this stuff. And that's really empowering, because then when you go talk with your kids, you're seeing where their brain is stuck, and you can help them, you can intervene, and you can talk about this stuff, and you have the same language, and the language is empowering. Sometimes when we're on this journey, this healing anxiety, depression, and traumatic stress journey, sometimes we're so in the beginning phases, we're just like, man, this is really tough, or we're afraid, we're watching our kids struggle, and we're terrified. I've been there. I had a raging anxiety disorder, which was actually the result of complex childhood trauma. And when I started seeing it, regardless of how much work I did, this was something I started when my kids were really little, and I was wandering around because I didn't have what I've built now that I walk people through. I didn't know how to heal this stuff. So it's like I was parenting and bringing up children in the middle of an anxiety disorder. And when I started seeing them manifest these things, it was just like, I mean, the shame, the horror, and then I'm getting my butt kicked. So now it means you're going to be getting your. I mean, you can just make all these big stories up, right? But now it's like brains do this. And my and my kids now, I'm seeing their stuff as just normal people stuff, not like this disorder I've given them. Or they picked up from me, which is so like. I've talked to so many moms with the women that reach out to me. Some of them are not moms, but the moms that I talk to, this is what we're worried about, and this is the real thing. And so doing this work can really help us get into a really powerful place with it, and guide our children through normal brain stuff, and really come out to the other side, that we don't have to freak out about symptoms. They just are. Let's deal. Let's do what we have to do and help our system. So those are some initial thoughts from me. And so I see that we have more people attending. So if you have questions that you would like me to address, go ahead and pop them into the comments. And right now I'm just talking about that I work mostly with adults, but I have worked with teens as well. But when we're talking about younger children and things like that, my advice usually is always mom goes first, or dad. Somebody in the adult's life really needs to be the forerunner in getting healthy and well. Because what I found when I was working with teenagers is that at some point they have to make the decision to be well. And a lot of that comes like in the middle of, as we're working on symptom elimination. But what they notice is that eventually, to be well, they have to move their whole life over to healthy land, right? They have to move from mental illnessville and move to another country called emotional wellness. and they you can see them start to process this. Oh, I need to do that, and then it's so exciting, and then they're like, but I have to leave my mom and dad over here. I have to leave my parent over here. And you see them going through this. Do I go to Healthyville, or do I stay with my mom over here? Do I go, or do I stay? And that is really, really, really hard. And I don't enjoy that. I mean, of all the work I do with eliminating symptoms of anxiety and depression and traumatic stress, I love that. But that piece right there with teenagers and like, let's leave mom in mental illnessville and go move to another country so you will be well. That bond stretching, that bond breaking, that bond stuff right there, I don't like that. I don't like that at all. So whenever I have any opportunities to talk with parents, I'm going to tell you, go first. Move over there. Because then it's really easy. You don't even have to do a lot of work with the kid. They're just like, oh, they're like little ducks instinctually. They're like, mom's going across the pond. We're going across the pond, and you're moving over to Healthy Landville. And it's nice and it's easy, and the whole family system benefits. No child wants to leave their parent ever, even if it's with mental illness. So absolutely, if you've got symptoms of anxiety, depression, or traumatic stress, and you're seeing them in your kid, save yourself all the phone calls of dialing up and trying to get this kid some help. Do that. But like, don't just go crazy nuts over there. Put your oxygen mask on first. Make those calls for yourself. Get what you need, because you will be in the right place to support that kiddo. And so hear me say, do all the things, right? Don't just not, take care of your kid. They will benefit from support when you find the right match for them. But the real victory comes when mom is well, when dad is well. And so really, 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 if any of those are the question that you're dealing with, and if you've got a kiddo struggling right now, put your emotional wellness mask on first. Get your plan in place. Start getting your results. Heal. Show the way. You be the way shower. Okay, so those are thoughts from Rachel. But I came here to take questions for you, and we're 7 minutes into it. So do you have questions for me? Usually you do. But it's okay if we have a day where you don't. We can just wrap this up early. And I think that what I shared was a lot to chew on. Definitely emotionally, a lot to chew on. So let's see if anything else comes up while we're waiting for some questions. You know what's coming up in my awareness right now that I think would be fun, and since this is the Rachel show right now, I'd like to teach you some interventions to work with your vagus nerve. I'm just going to be flat out honest. I don't know much about the vagus nerve. I know what I know. I don't even know it well enough to share it with you. And I don't know if you've read my recent post about 3 different reasons for anxiety disorders, and one of them was brainwave stuff. Because that's as far as my knowledge goes. I've heard their training, but I don't get it yet. I don't understand. And that's kind of where I'm at with the vagus nerve. That's why 2021, I am going all the way in. And because I suspect that this is going to really be an amazing addition. But since I'm not there yet, but I have no shame grabbing up interventions and putting them in my pocket, especially as ooh, this is for the vagus nerve. Let me try it out. So that's one of the things I've been doing. So I've got a couple of interventions for that. So while you're coming up with any questions you have, I'll share 2 of those with you. Okay. Oh, maybe I got 3. So apparently the vagus nerve comes up here through your stomach and in your body, back in your stomach somewhere. I'm not even going to try to go there. play with these things and see what you find and what you notice. But this does have to do with relaxation and just regulation and good stuff, healing, all sorts of wonderful things. So one thing that you can do is this collarbone right here. If you can feel it, it runs this way. If you put your hand right under it and press in and down, and then stretch your neck. See, I do that every time, that deep breath. And then take your other hand, other side, and stretch as well. Do this at your own, take full responsibility for your emotional wellness, and don't hurt yourself with any of this stretching. It's just light stretching, opening it up. But I do energy testing, like muscle testing, with this before and after. And a lot of times the vagus nerve will test as needing some support. And after my clients will do this, it doesn't. And it's like, oh, that was nice. Thank you. This is something that I was taking a training by a brilliant woman, and she trains therapists as well. And she encourages people to start every session with that stretch. She teaches it where you put your fingers in here and push down and away and stretch the opposite direction. And so, and while she was talking about this, see, that's awesome. This woman in her class is a fascia specialist, works with them. She's like, oh yeah, you can do this also by just holding them under here. And it was less complex. And when somebody's in a survival state, I like the more simple stuff, because you can't think very well when you're in a survival state. And so I teach it like this, but that one's awesome too. So anyway, she teaches therapists to do that one first, because it will bring people into a nice regulated state. It will empower their vagus nerve and put it in the place optimal functioning, or on the steps towards optimal functioning. Another one that's really awesome, and I don't see any comments yet, so I think we'll wrap this one up today after this, unless there's a comment. So if you have one, definitely put it now. You can just hold the back of your, I have no idea the medical term for this, but the bottom part of your head right here, right? So you can hold there and here, and just be there with it for a moment. Our hands are electromagnetic. We're just like batteries. And so it's really cool. You can do a lot of stuff with these, the ways that we naturally are, that we don't necessarily talk about or learn about. Some cultures are all about this stuff. They've learned about this stuff. Our cultures have been more, the Western cultures have been more about how we're interacting with the world chemically and not electrically. Or energetically, which our scientists are really getting on that right now, which is really fun. That's why I'm going full nerd this year, because they have so much research out now that it's like, I just need to know what they know. And I've been hearing some really amazing quotes, and I'm like, I see that stuff in practice all the time. Like, we use that stuff all the time, and now that there's scientific research for it, I'm just over the moon. I'm like, I need to know, and I need to find people that are going to translate it into people talk. And so I've got my eye on some people I'm going to be taking trainings from. Okay, and so that's another one, just holding those 2 points right there. It really, that one I was told it just balances them. I don't know. Feel it, experience it. Let me know what you think about that. And then there's one more. And a lot of these things, you just can't mess them up. So I feel a lot of freedom to do them. And so you feel freedom however you feel it. And if these don't feel like the right things to do, because I'm going to give you the instructions for this one as I remember them. So you're following a wild card right now. But I think that there's so many benefits from tuning into our body, that play with it, if you will. Okay. And I don't know why I felt like sharing this thing with you that I'm not like all certain about and all like, this, because I have tons of those. But today we're just going to walk around the vagus nerve area and Rachel's, whatever I've whipped together understanding wise. But 100% of my clients love these interventions. And so why not? Okay. So here we go. Pinkies. And this is actually your heart meridian runs through here. And so there's a lot happening with your pinky. Your small intestine is over here. Small intestine endpoint is this way. So, but anyway, you're going to start up here. And I've seen this started here and here. So you follow your intuition. So I'm going to start here. And then you come out to here. And you just take some deep breaths. We're in triple warmer, the end of triple warmer right here, if you know anything about meridians. Take a deep breath, and then you're going to come around your ear and kind of stick your finger in that little hole right there. And then come down your jaw to the throat right here. And come down into your heart. And then you're going to come down a little bit more into your stomach with your pinkies, and then come back up to your heart. And those are just a couple of vagus nerve exercises to add into all the things. And you can do those whenever you like. If you're in, I've had clients practice that. They'll use this one the most because it's the simplest. But in the middle of a panic attack, they'll do that. And they'll be able to shift out. When they're dissociating, in dissociation, these ones can be really, really helpful. Let me see when else they've used them. Oh, just racing thoughts. Anytime you connect with the fact that I am in a survival state or my limbic system is really firing off right now and it feels horrible, these interventions really are a great one to experiment during those times. But I really love the emotional freedom techniques for that. If you're going to talk about simple skills, that one really is incredibly powerful for if you're experiencing panic attacks, racing thoughts, all your symptoms of anxiety, depression, and traumatic stress. But there's so many ways to work with the body. I'm sharing a couple more. Okay, I think that's all we're doing today. So it was wonderful talking with you and being here. And till next time, take care.